Hey everybody, welcome back to the Scentitar Channel. So, have you ever fallen out of love before? Let's get into it. So guys, I want to thank you for being here and on my channel and to watch this video. Top 10 fragrances I've fallen out of love with. I think all of us at one point or another have fallen out of love with something before. Something that we were really excited about, really anxious about, maybe something we wanted for a birthday, Christmas. It could be all kinds of things. Something we saved our money for, and then it just didn't have the spark, or it didn't meet expectations, or just got boring after a while. In my top 10 list here, I have fragrances that don't have the spark anymore. I found better replacements, or I'm just in a different place in my fragrance journey. So I hope you've had those experiences. Let's jump into them. This is going to be fun, guys. So the first one I have is a shocker, and I think some of these might be shockers. This one is Nautica Voyage. Guys, I've praised this fragrance on my channel, and for good reason. It smells like the ocean. It kind of smells natural, but it has a little bit of a fruity or kind of like a young vibe. So it has salt, it has ocean, it has melon like cantaloupe, it has a tiny bit of greenness blended in. It's just a lovely fragrance, especially for the money, guys. If you're buying a fragrance as a gift to especially a young man who's never owned a fragrance before, or something that's just easy to wear, any situation, just grab it, spray it, go, easy on the pocketbook. Nautica Voyage might be one of the best fragrance, if not the best fragrance for that kind of guy if you're just starting out. So I still highly recommend it. I just have found fragrances, some more fragrances in my collection that I realized are possibly even more versatile, and they're just as mass appealing, and they get me compliments and attention, but I just like to wear them a little bit more. Those are Acqua di Gio Essenza and Versace's Dylan Blue, and I guess I'll give those kind of their own reviews later on. I have mentioned them, but let's get to the rest of the list. The next one, number 2, is Lucky You by the Lucky brand. Now guys, I mentioned this I think on my skin scent video, and it certainly is a lovely fragrance for that. If you want to be, enhance your natural smell in kind of a green, kind of grassy way, definitely fresh. It's a beautiful fragrance for that. It comes off natural off the skin, even though it doesn't smell very natural. If you smell it itself, it smells honestly really synthetic in a way. But as you wear it on the skin, it just has a natural kind of green vibe. It's very pleasant. It's soft, inoffensive, hard to dislike, easy to wear. I still suggest that for a younger man who might want to try a green fragrance. It's a really easy to love green fragrance. It's not heavy, it's not dense, it's not animalic, none of those kinds of things. But why did I fall out of love with this one? I think I fell out of love with it because I bought Mugler cologne. That's one of the ones I'd slept on for a long time. I've heard it smelled like soap, and so I kind of pushed it to the side and didn't buy it for a long time, but it had so much praise, and I did want a very fresh fragrance. Now Prada El Homme is a wonderful fragrance. I really need to get my nose on it more, but I went for Mugler cologne because it was easier to find. It just felt like the right one to go for. And guys, that one's beautiful too. And I've kind of reviewed it a little bit before. If you want its own review, let me know. But that's what happened with number 2. So guys, number 3 is a big shocker. It's Midnight in Paris. Guys, With any of these fragrances, please don't be offended. This is my opinion, and I'm not trying to say these fragrances are bad by any means. A lot of these are great fragrances, all of them really. I just, this is just my opinion. So, Midnight in Paris is a wonderful fragrance. It's light, playful, kind of powdery, smooth. Definitely a romantic fragrance. I think it projects kind of softly, but in a romantic situation, that's really ideal. So I really can't say anything bad about it, and the longevity is actually good for a romantic fragrance. I just found that for the money and how hard it is to find now because it's discontinued, I think you could go for Van Cleef & Arpels, the same brand. I think you could go for in New York. And I say that because they do smell similarly. In New York is a little bit more aquatic. I think it's a little bit more mass appealing and a casual fragrance. I still think you get the same vibe, and it could work for you. But guys, I found a fragrance called Moon Milk. It's a niche fragrance. It's definitely more expensive. It's about $150 for a 50 ml. But I think it has a very similar character DNA, a very similar personality of a fragrance. It smells much more natural, and I think it smells much even better than Midnight in Paris. And compared to the prices that some people are charging for Midnight in Paris, especially the Parfum version, you'd probably be better off, buying this. Now guys, I guess this is a little moment of, it's speculation, but I'm kind of proud if it's true, that I went on Twisted Lily to see if there is more available, if I could keep recommending this. So after I did a recommendation on my channel, and even on Fragrantica, it was sold out. And then of the 3 fragrances by Skoogin on Twisted Lily, it was the only one sold out. So maybe the word got out there about how good it is. If you have smelled it or know anybody who has smelled it, I would love to hear their opinion and see if they think the same thing. If it's worth the money and similar to Midnight in Paris. So let's get to number 4. Enough about that. So number 4 is Cerruti 1881. Guys, Cerruti 1881 is another wonderful fragrance. Nothing against it. It's a kind of aquatic, kind of like a watercress, like light and crisp green fragrance, but it's still a little bit aquatic, and it has some spiciness off the top. Cerruti 1881 is definitely an easy to wear, kind of casual fragrance for the gentleman. It's a wonderful fragrance. I still recommend it, especially for a gentleman out there who wants something kind of he could wear it casually. It's not going to hurt the pocketbook or whatever he has his wallet. It's not going to hurt that too much. So the next one is, again, it could be controversial too. This one's Creed's Tabarome. Now Tabarome is a very interesting fragrance, and it has a little bit of a polarization. So there's like 2 sides who really like it and dislike it. I like the fragrance. I just fell out of love with it because I think it's just too expensive. I still think it's one of the most, a really creative fragrance on Creed's side. I think a lot of Creed fragrances kind of play it safe, but Tabarome makes a light, likable citrus fragrance matched and balanced with tobacco. It's really something creative. It can be soft and comforting, but it's not like royal oud particularly, or even spice and wood. It's not particularly soft or anything like those. It's definitely a little bit more invigorating. And I just can't find many opportunities or situations to wear that fragrance. It could be pulled off on fall days, summer nights, but honestly I just don't know when I could wear that one. So let's jump to number 6, Bora Bora Exotic. Now, I think I'd mentioned this a little bit before, but this one is a sleeper for a lot of guys. It's a wonderful fragrance. It's kind of slightly aquatic, but it's invigorating. It doesn't smell fruity, at least sweet, but it still has kind of like an exotic vibe to it. It's really hard to explain, but it has kind of like an exotic fruit smell without the sweetness. And it has some violet leaf, which leads a lot of people to feel like it smells like Fahrenheit. And in a way it kind of does. So if you wanted kind of a fresher, kind of exotic Fahrenheit, it would be wonderful, but it doesn't project too much, and the longevity is just okay. I found a fragrance called Colognes by Les Artisans Parfumeurs, and guys, I'm going to give that one a review. I think it's wonderful. It's becoming one of my most favorite fragrances. So let's jump to I think it's number 7. Yeah, 7 is Pure Malt. Guys, don't be shocked. I still love the fragrance. It's a wonderful boozy tobacco, but the tobacco is really kind of subdued. It's mostly boozy and kind of rich. Doesn't smell particularly buttery or anything. It just smells kind of rich and smooth, and it's very lovely. It does very well with the ladies. As time goes on and my nose changes, if I want a gourmand, I want it to be really rich. That one kind of skirts on being fairly versatile in my opinion. Like Pure Havana, I think you could pull that one off in more situations. But I found Fan Your Flames for that. And in Mugler's line, I am beginning to love Pure Tonka more than I think really any of the others personally. I love how rich it is and how sweet it is, and I think it lasts a fair amount of time too. So I'm just falling in love with Pure Tonka over time, and it's kind of pushing Pure Malt to the side. And Pure Malt isn't as exciting as it once was, because I found fragrances like Jazz Club and Fan Your Flames by Nishane. So nothing against it. It's still a wonderful fragrance, and because it's a designer, it's easier to get, it's less expensive, so it's still highly recommended. So let's jump to number 8. It's Baldessari's Secret Mission. I don't think I've mentioned this on the channel before. Baldessari is kind of it's a designer for sure, but they tend to do fragrances that are a little bit more unique. I don't think they get a lot of attention in the fragrance world, and even though some of their fragrances don't last the longest, a lot of them manage to smell natural or come off a little bit more unique than kind of like the average designer might. So Baldessari's Secret Mission smells almost like a Tom Ford fragrance, but it smells a little bit aquatic off the top. Then it becomes kind of dark and a little bit soft, not powdery per se. I felt the fragrance, even though it was composed well, how it came off my skin, it seemed to kind of jump up and down a lot. It seemed to not necessarily change, but the projection and just how it smelled seemed to keep changing, even if I was in the same temperature and I was doing the same activity. Well, you know, And I don't know why that is. I've never seemed to have a fragrance do that to me. But I found Baldessari's Private Affairs that is kind of like a softer, and not as dark, kind of Tom Ford-esque fragrance. And I really like it. It does the job for me much better than Secret Mission, which I think is a little bit more on the patchouli side. And Private Affairs smells like it's a little bit more on the oud side. I'm beginning to like oud more, and even though it's not a very, it's definitely an amateur oud fragrance. I think it's extremely good for the money, $25 or so. It's really hard to beat, and for guys who might be interested in oud wood and they've never smelled it, or they think it's really expensive, I still highly suggest you get your nose on Private Affairs by Baldessari. So number two and number one are going to be big shockers. So don't run me off with pitchforks, okay, guys? Number two is one of my most beloved fragrances. It's Terre de Hermes. You guys, don't get me wrong. It's a wonderful fragrance. It really changed the game. It was a designer fragrance that just got guys more interested or revitalized their interest in gentlemanly fragrances that could be more daring in the designer world. I do think it's getting a little bit too popular. I think it's getting kind of overplayed, so it's not as original as it used to be. Besides that factor, because I like to be a little bit unique, but again, of course, I do want to appeal to other people. I love Eau Trace Fresh, the flanker, and I just feel that it's more versatile, and I like the fresh orange more, and I think it's better especially for a younger man like myself. And I got my hands on Intense Vetiver, and even though it has more of a smooth profile, it's woody, but it doesn't have the sharpness of wood. It's kind of more of like an oak smell, and I'm beginning to like that one a lot more too. That one definitely is different, but Terre de Hermes is still a great fragrance, guys. I highly suggest it and Dunhill Icon for gentlemen, you know, who's 25, maybe 30 plus. Still a wonderful fragrance. Smells very good. It's kind of like an aromatic with a rugged orange, vetiver, and a little bit of green. I know gentlemen like that green smell. So number one is the one that I hope I say this one in the right way for sure. It's Creed's Aventus. I might have lit a fire right there. Guys, it's a wonderful fragrance. It might be the best-selling niche fragrance of all time. It might get into like a Fragrance Hall of Fame if there is such a thing. I feel that even though it's expensive, even though Creed is exclusive, I think because it's gotten so much hype by YouTubers and the fragrance world, so many people talk about it, and it has so much popularity that anybody who knows anything about fragrances has heard about Aventus, or might even own it. So I could be wrong, but I think that it's getting too popular, that it is kind of commonplace in a way. So the fragrance doesn't smell as unique anymore, which is a real shame. And still, it's still a great fragrance, highly recommended. Beautiful oak moss, ambergris, pineapple, a little bit of smokiness with the new batches, but I simply believe that it's a little bit overdone. And I also personally find that I like Alharamain's Aventure and Club de Nuit Intense. That's the one. That I find that one to be, even though the opening is harsh, I find it to be a wonderful fragrance. I highly recommend that one too, especially if you like smokier batches of Aventus. It's hard for me to justify the price of the Aventus, even though they created it. You know, they're the original creators. Got to give them credit for it. When there's competition and they're producing a product that's so similar in projection and longevity and smell, even though you might have a superior product in quality, if you're charging, you know, compared to discounters, sometimes like 10 times the price, 8, 9, 10 times the price, it's really hard to justify it. So that's just my opinion. Please don't hate me. I still respect the fragrance. I still have a decant. I really love the fragrance for what it is. I save it for kind of fancy situations, kind of social situations that aren't too fancy, but they're definitely not casual. So that's kind of when I wear that fragrance now. I don't think it has the exclusivity as it once had. So that's just my opinion. So like Jay Royal says, you can definitely get your own if you'd like to. And I respect all these fragrances. So guys, I want to thank you for being here at the Scentitar Channel. It's a joy to have you. I'm glad to be back. I'll see you guys next time, but let me know how I'm doing. Let me know how I can improve. And I love being here with you. So this has been the Scentitar Channel. I'll see you again next time. Bye.